If you guys have been following the channel, we have been recently taking a look at life advice over on Reddit and taking a look at different replies to that life advice and giving my own life advice, and I had a lot of fun doing it personally. And today, I have a very, very important topic that a lot of men struggle with. Do you ever get bored of having intercourse with your partner? This is something that people go through. This is something that people worry about, and I'm here to, I guess, kind of clear the air for you today. We're going to take a look at the problem. We're going to take a look at some replies. I'm going to give my advice, and as always, I would love to know what you think about it down below afterwards. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I'm your guy with many YouTube channels. So this is the issue over here on Ask Men Advice. Do you get bored of having intercourse with your partner? I've always had a fear that my boyfriend will get bored of me. It's the only real insecurity I have when it comes to our relationship, and I hate that I have this feeling, the thought of the back of my head. I like to keep things interesting and fun, but if you're with someone for longer than a year, is it still exciting to you? And I actually really hate that this is something that women have to worry about nowadays, and it's always true that women have been forever insecure about themselves, right? But this is a problem that becomes more and more prevalent as time goes on because so many guys are addicted to adult content. Real experiences with real women in real life have become it's incomparable to the supernormal stimuli that a lot of guys that are addicted to, that this is something that girls have to worry about nowadays. And it sucks. And either that or people just settle down in relationships as time goes on. People let themselves go, things like that. And all of that can kind of get in the way of having a sexless marriage. That's what a lot of people are very worried about. So it's not just what I have to say over here. I want to take a look at some of the top replies to gauge on how people are feeling about this. This is one of the top replies over here. 15 years into my marriage, and the sex is only boring if you let it get that way. That is extremely true. I have been somebody, and I can speak on this topic because I've been somebody who has been in the same relationship for what's going on a decade. The only time that it got a little bit rough and completely understandable is when my wife was pregnant, right? That makes sense to have a little bit of a rough patch, or I guess you could call it a dry patch, but there wasn't exactly a lack of effort. It was the fact that we had good days and bad days for how my wife was up to feeling, right? But regardless, I have been with the same person for a decade, and it's only gotten better with time. The way that I personally see it is, as long as both of you are you love each other, you're interested, and that's very important for the guy too. You need to be, and so many guys are like, oh my god, well, after 2 years, women's sex drive they change. And before I got married, the amount of people telling me that I was at work where it's like, oh, you can kiss your sex life goodbye. You can kiss your sex life goodbye. Oh, you don't think she's going to change, but she's going to change. I don't know if anybody else had that same experience. I would imagine that's the case because so many people told me it. And I work in an environment where there's a ton of people that are older than me, right? So they've all been through it. They're all in sexless marriages. And I found myself like finding it extremely difficult to believe, but it was also kind of in the back of my head because I was like, wow, literally everybody goes through this. And then I keep thinking to myself like, no, my wife's great. Why would she just stop having intercourse with me, right? All of these guys consistently talk about like women getting complacent after they're in a marriage and they no longer have the desire to have sex with you because they already got you, right? That makes sense in principle, but to be honest with you, if you're the type of person who's in a very strong relationship, because women are attracted emotionally to things more so than physically, right? Because the guys will forever be okay, like, oh, ready to go? All right. No matter even like if you're in a horrible marriage, you guys are fighting with each other, the guy will have no problem getting with the girl, right? But I also think it's up to the men to maintain themselves, be loving husbands, loving fathers, being the best person that they could possibly be, along with understanding that life does get in the way. For example, I just said like and I don't want to say dry because everything still took place. It just wasn't as often when my wife was pregnant. You got to be understanding that life gets in the way of stuff, and then you can't get frustrated with your partner. And then once you get frustrated with your partner, because obviously once a guy has a little bit of buildup, right, they get testy, they get anger, they want to like kill things. Look, guys, my overall point with this is that I think so many people are really quick to just blame their wives for not having sex with them, but they're not necessarily somebody who is deserving of sex because things happen, like guys let themselves go, they get complacent into marriage as well. They don't give the female as much of an emotional bond as you once did, like you don't plan the dates anymore, things like that women need, things that actually arouse women. A lot of guys don't do that and just go, hey, it's her duty to take care of me. I understand that logic. I understand where that's coming from because it is something that guys need. But I mean, what I also never really understood is once you want a girl to just want to do it instead of just, hey, it's your duty. Come on. Yeah, I need to be taken care of. Like, what fun is that? But to go back to that initial point, 15 years into the marriage and the sex is only boring if you let it get that way, I feel the exact same way. I have only had better experience with time with my wife because we over the years, we have gotten more comfortable with each other. You learn what people like. There's only so much new stuff you can do, but it doesn't matter. It's fun every single time. I have never gotten bored of it in 10 years. It gets boring when it becomes a duty type thing for the woman, and you can always tell. And I think that's what the issue that a lot of guys have. But it's not just about the boring part. Let's continue on with the next point, okay? Biggest thing for both partners is to not let themselves go. Keep working in the gym and putting in the effort into romance, and it can keep getting better. If you stop working at it, things will get stale. That is so true. Like I mentioned earlier, guys are ready to go at any point ever. To the point where the woman can do something like horrible to the guy unless it's like something as bad as, let's say, cheating. But even then, some people will be like, yeah, I'm mad at you, but I can still do it. No problem. This is very, very important. You need to, and I used the wrong scene. Excuse me, guys. Sorry about that. Keep working in the gym, putting the effort into romance, and it can keep getting better. It could always continuously get better. I'm interested in the next reply, okay? Agreed. I always make sure I take good care of how I look or with my boyfriends, no matter how long we've been together, and they do the same. It's nice, it's attractive, and it shows you care about looking good for them. To me, it's a natural way of being when you are genuinely romantic in a happy relationship. I learned this about my grandparents too. They never let a day go in all of their years together without looking their best for each other. That's sweet, and that's love. Now, I know a lot of people can look at that, to be honest with you, and say, well, I don't want to wear makeup 24/7 because some girls actually do end up feeling that way, but you just need to keep that same energy that you had when, not necessarily when you were first dating and trying to impress each other, but have a little bit of effort in your relationship period, and then that natural attraction will come. And you're going to have an even better time from a guy's perspective if a girl actually wants to do something with you as opposed to has to do something with you. Let's take a look at another reply over here. I used to historically, but the person to blame was myself. I had an unhealthy relationship with adult content for most of my adult life until my early 30s. Of course, I had bad sex too with partners who just didn't put the effort or care to, but not much can be done about that if someone isn't eager or willing to learn how to best participate in great sex. I still enjoyed sex, but not nearly to the same degree because there were other sources of stimulation I was regularly dependent on. Since I gave that up, sex has become a far more sensual and significant ritual for me, and I'm far more present emotionally and spiritually. This is something that I wholeheartedly believe is one of the biggest problems, if not the biggest problems in young men today. They could have something that our ancestors would have found mind-blowing, but because they're so addicted to something that our brains weren't meant to handle, think of it like drugs. You need to get something harder and harder and more shocking in order to feel something. So many people nowadays have very little interest in real women. They just don't know it. If you rid your brain of this type of stuff, then the most vanilla thing you can think of would be the most euphoric of all time. And it's very, very true. And this is my own personal belief, but I do believe that guys being addicted to adult content is the biggest reason why so many people are getting divorced now, why so many people are stuck in sexless marriages to the point where guys aren't even interested in regular intercourse with their partners. What they're interested in is what they've been watching, and what they've been watching is something that they would have found disgusting maybe 10 years ago when they started this. They subconsciously expect their wife or girlfriend to do these things, which girls aren't wired to even think about. And then they'll still turn around and still blame the woman for not being good enough about these online people that they are watching and doing stuff that I don't want to say you're not supposed to be attracted to it, but it's something that's not necessarily found in nature. It's such an exaggerated version of what you're made to like that real women will never be able to compare to it. And once you rid your brain, even for, let's say, 3-ish months of it, honestly, even a couple weeks, to be honest with you, if you really, really do rid your brain, then you will find a huge, huge difference in real meeting with real girls, to the point where you remember when you were a kid and you would look at a girl and that would be enough, right? That would be enough for you. That's what you're built for. But so many guys don't have that anymore. How many guys wake up in the morning? What anymore? It's crazy to me where this world's going. And I think that's the biggest problem. I don't think it's the women at all. I think a lot of it's the men. Let's continue on with these replies though, okay? Nope, not one bit. Men are wired that sex is a physical and mental need. If you bring the excitement, just literally want it, your man will never get bored of that in and out motion. I've never gotten bored and still want it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. There's always the people missing the point. Why is it a need though? You won't die without it. Always one of those people, but it's true. Men are wired that the sex is a physical and mental need. A woman being excited and legitimately wanting it is something that absolutely will be enough. I don't know if you guys have ever been in that position. If you guys have been in this position, you would know exactly what I'm talking about. You could have like a 12 out of 10, or you could have like a 6 out of 10, but that 6 out of 10 just needs you. Which one is going to be more attractive? The answer is obviously obvious, I was going to say. Let's continue on with replies over here. It only gets boring when one or both of you stop trying and or turn it into a chore or obligation done to keep the other happy. Both men and women do this. This is very, very true. And it's going to lead to nothing but boredom on both ends. On both ends, you're going to get bored, okay? And it's just not right, okay? Let's take a look at another reply, though. I don't get bored with having sex with the same person, but there's a lot more behind it. When we started dating seriously, we put both of our cards on the table in regards to what we want from a relationship, sex included. We both were honest on everything and communicated to each other in our relationship. So if she wanted me to do something or change something up in the bedroom, she'll tell me, and likewise. We also try to keep it interesting. Try new things. More than anything, we keep the connection alive. I can't count the amount of times we've been late for things or burnt stuff and got taken out because the mood just took us. My relationship is not what you call stereotypical relationship, but it works because we enjoy each other and make time for us, if you catch my drift. Now, I'm not saying that you need to be down to try anything, but what's very important is communication, and it's so difficult, and this is something that I actually will blame the female side for, because they're typically the ones who don't communicate or can't exactly like take any sort of criticism. Of course, you viewer watching this video might be able to do so. While I blame the men for being the overall issue in divorce, relationship issues, sex being not a normal part of marriage anymore, I blame the men for that, but I also do blame the communication side for women, because if a guy is frustrated with something, if a guy is frustrated with, let's say, like, hey, I don't know what I can do to make you more invest in the bedroom. A lot of women won't be able to handle something like that. Or, hey, this thing outside of sex is very, very attractive to me, and I would like it if you did it more. And then a lot of girls would take that me, and instead of just, okay, maybe that is something that I can do a little bit more, they'd be like, oh, well, this isn't good enough? Are you saying I'm not good enough for you? That is an issue that needs to be fixed on the female side of things. When you are starting to date somebody, you could both put your cards out on the table, but guys can rarely be honest with the cards that they want to put on the table. No matter how long you've been in a relationship, it's well known amongst men that they can't be honest with women. They can't be. And I would imagine that the majority of my viewers over here are male, but if there are any female watching this, that is such a strength and such a bonus that you could have if you're willing to listen and actually take your emotions out of it. If you want to talk to a guy and be like, hey, what do you want? And he can actually be honest with you and you do not react to it. That is such a plus that that's honestly might be worth keeping you forever, that alone, because so many women are unable to do so. Guys need to improve themselves. Guys need to get in shape. Guys need to be overall men. Guys need to quit adult content. Women need to learn their communication skills. I think that would make for a happy and healthy society. Will we reach that? Absolutely not. And do I have any faith in the world ever restoring itself to its former glory? No, I do not. But maybe we can change a couple lives as this channel grows. Guys, let me know what you think about this entire topic down below. Thank you so much for being here and watching.